Hey movie junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and most importantly, physical media with you. Now, I have my Joe Bob's Last Drive-In hat on, which means today we're going to talk about a horror movie. And this was just released last week from the time I recorded this video, and I had to pick it up. It is Wes Craven's underrated 1991 gem, The People Under the Stairs. Now, Shout Factory released this, but they also released a Blu-ray in a 2K scan from the original 35mm negative back in 2014, 2015, I believe. And at the time, I just didn't think it could look any better than this Blu-ray. Until now, when this 4K came along, that does include a new 2023 4K restoration from the original 35mm negative, forming a new 4K DI with the extra benefits of HDR10 and Dolby Vision grading. Alright guys, so let's get to it and compare the differences here between this Blu-ray and the new 4K UHD, and if it's worth shelling out your money to upgrade from your Blu-ray. Let's get to it. This is a very nice upgrade from the previous Shout Factory Blu-ray release, and especially if you still have that Universal Blu-ray, this just wipes the floor with it. First, the color reproduction is tremendous, looking much more natural and vibrant, unlike the Blu-rays, both Universal and a Shout Factory, that lean more towards a dulled or faded look to it. The HDR10 Dolby Vision grading really enhances and helps the primaries, such as deeper, lusher greens. Reds are stronger with deeper crimson or cherry reds and blood reds. Blues are clearer and much more natural. Secondaries, especially inside the house, abounds with excellent browns and grays, some off-whites. The whole color palette just really pops off the screen. Also, the Christmas lights have more life to them that pop brightly. The HDR Dolby Vision grading only enhances what's already there, while still remaining completely faithful to the original 35mm negative with lifelike natural colors. It just gives the image more life and vigor. We also have some nice saturation that's increased slightly, that looks more energetic without it looking forced or too harsh. Looking fresher and rejuvenated, more than I've ever seen it before on home media. The contrast is also well balanced and comfortably bright. Now, when we are in the house, shadows and dark spaces plays a vital character, especially down in the basement and in the walls. And this was something the Blu-rays, both the Shout Factory and especially the Universal, really suffered with. When comparing the Shout Factory to this 4K, I noticed some heavy crushing, engulfing some of the details. Also a big problem with murkiness in the shadows that looked way too muddy and murky. Well, I'm very happy to report that we finally have those deep, inky black levels and rich velvety shadows that we all love with this 4K, creating much more depth and drawing out much more information in the image that looks very realistic, even in the darkest corners of rooms inside the house that are livened up a bit with those steely black levels that looks better than honestly I've ever seen it before. It just looks fantastic. Also, nighttime sequences are handled much better with this 4K, now with the nighttimes looking much more natural. The black leathery gimp suit actually looks black here. Also on the Shout Factory and Universal Blu-rays, skin tones were awful. They look very palish. And here with this 4K, the skin tones are handled much better, looking much more warmer and natural. White levels are also excellent, with brighter, crisper, more natural whites. And I didn't find any blooming or blown out hotspots, unlike the Blu-ray. Now, a huge reference point with this 4K, especially when compared to the Shout Factory Blu-ray, is the amount of detail levels that abounds. The image has finer lines and looks incredibly razor sharp, and I didn't notice any kind of artificial sharpening done to it. And this really takes effect when we are inside the house, where we can now clearly make out the lines and grain in the wood. We can clearly make out now every blemish, imperfection along the walls. The background is also very active of details and objects. It's very clear and defined now. And of course, all those terrific, gory practical effects of decomposed bodies. It just looks incredible. It's very clear. We see muscle and tissue, and the blood and gore looks terrific and looking more natural and lifelike now. Facial close-ups reveal every pore, bead of sweat, wrinkle, the caked-on makeup on the woman. All of this is just more exposed and pops. But really, it's the excellent makeup effects on the dwellers under the stairs that looks incredibly detailed, seeing all the makeup and texture. That's definitely the icing on the cake with this 4K. The grain structure here is fully intact and very consistent throughout, with that nice 35mm grain field that we all love to see, with a beautiful filmic appearance. And the bitrate ranges from 80 and I saw it peaking around 95. Now, I have owned People Under the Stairs on almost every home media format, from video, Laserdisc, DVD. I own both the Universal and the 2015 Shout Factory Blu-rays. And I've honestly never seen the movie look this stunning and lifelike before. It's an absolute winner in the 4K market, which makes it a must-need upgrade. Right now, let's get into the audio presentation, and People Under the Stairs does come with a new DTS 5.1 surround track and also the original stereo track that was offered on the Blu-ray. And they both have their advantages and disadvantages. However, when switching back and forth between the tracks, I found myself sticking with the stereo track over the 5.1. One of the biggest problems with the 5.1 track is that the sound effects tend to sound a little too forced or thinned out. And that's the downside of the 5.1 mix. Whereas the stereo mix carries the original audio design, which offers a tighter and overall better sounding experience. Alright, so my score for Shout Factory's 4K UHD presentation of the People Under the Stairs, I'm honestly giving the video a 5 out of a 5. As for the audio, I'm knocking it down a peg to a 4 out of a 5. But I'm curious about your opinion on this here. Head over to the comment section. Let me know. When you look at the differences here between the Blu-ray and the new 4K, which format do you like better? Let me know over in the comments. As always, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes here and comparing the differences between the 4K UHD and the Blu-ray. As always, keep physical media alive, and I'll see you next time.